Welcome to The Gut Show. I'm your host, Erin Judge, registered dietitian and founder of Gutivate. I'm also your fellow IBS warrior. Our goal on this side of the internet is to empower those with IBS and digestive disorders to understand their gut better, to have a healthier relationship with their bodies, and to make confident choices to improve their digestive health. During this season, you can expect a conversation around a hot topic related to gut health, digestion, and IBS. As a disclaimer, I am a dietitian, but I am not your dietitian. So everything covered in this episode is meant to be educational and is purely information that you can take back to your healthcare team in order to make the best decisions for you. If you're new here and something just doesn't feel right in your gut, if your symptoms have led you to this podcast, I invite you to start by taking the quiz, What's Your Poop Personality? Your personality type will unveil what your symptoms may mean, what may be causing them, and what you can do about them. This is a free quiz and you can take it today at gutivate.com or find the direct link below in the show notes. While you're going to take the quiz, let's jump into today's episode. Since we are now in December, your immune system and keeping your immune system strong to fight off different illnesses, colds, viruses, whatever's going around at all times is probably at the top of your mind and a goal. If you're like me, then you know that you just don't want your holidays ruined by being sick. You don't want your upcoming travel to be ruined by being sick. And you honestly already, want to feel your best when it comes to your gut, your IBS. You definitely don't want to feel bad by being sick. So today we are going to talk a little bit more about your immune system and about how your immune system may be linked to your gut health and how to support your immune system. Now, a lot of what we'll talk about are links that exist and what you can do within your control. You're not going to be able to have a completely perfect, non disease at all immune system simply by doing these things. I think that would be misleading, nor can we say that every part of your immune system is solely linked to your gut or the habits that we're going to say or talk through. But these are the things that can be within your control and some things that you can focus on if you're wanting to do something over the next few months. So when we're thinking about the immune system, this is a complex network of organs, tissues, cells, and molecules that work together to defend the body against disease, usually starting from harmful pathogens like different bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites, as well as different abnormal or cancerous cells. So our immune system is simply our defense system against short-term problems like infections, but even long-term illnesses, conditions, and even cancers. It plays a vital role in maintaining the body's overall health and preventing diseases, and that is the ultimate goal. So for some people, their immune system is functioning really, really well and able to defend well against different pathogens in different states, whereas other people may have an immune system that is suffering from autoimmunity, where it's kind of working against itself. And those people may be more at risk for catching different pathogens, reacting to those pathogens, and even having different diseases like autoimmune diseases. So it's important to state that not everyone has the exact same immune system. This is not a one-size-fits-all conversation, but the immune system is fairly complex and it's very systemic, meaning it runs throughout the entire body and involves a lot of different things in your body as defense. And they each defender, if you will, plays a different role based on their location and what they're exposed to. So some defenders are going to play more of a direct role, which we see in the gut, because everything that's coming in through your mouth and even your nose, it's going to go through your gut. And so your gut is going to have a majority of our immune defenders, but this is going to be also present on a very cellular level. And we're also going to see this in other organs and kind of in other spaces in the body. So some of the major components of the human immune system include your bone marrow, which is found in certain bones, especially your hip and your thigh bones. This is where you're going to see blood cell formation, including white blood cells, which are also known as leukocytes. These are immune cells. So white blood cells kind of come to defense, and they're like the warriors going to battle whenever you have an infection or something is going on. So you may test white blood cells, but they're found in kind of formed in bone marrow. You also have your thymus. This is located behind your breastbone. right in the middle. And this is responsible for the maturation and development of a specific type of white blood cell called T lymphocytes or T cells. These play a central role in cell mediated immunity. So, more on that cellular level, and that's happening in that thymus. You also have your lymphatic system, your lymphs. This is something that's more often talked about. But this is a network of different vessels, nodes, and organs that transport lymph throughout the body. Lymph is a fluid that contains those white blood cells and other immune system components. And lymph nodes are there to filter lymph and trap foreign substances that might be found in it. So, this is like a transporter, if you will, of these cells that are going to go to battle and fight for you. You also have your spleen. If you have it, the spleen is sometimes removed. This is the largest lymphatic organ in the body and serves as a blood filter. So it helps remove damaged blood cells. It also stores platelets and white blood cells, those immune cells, and initiates immune responses by detecting different pathogens in the bloodstream. So the spleen is pretty important. It's a big communicator for the immune system, but also directly involved in storage and transportation of cells. And then you have your lymphocytes, which we talked about. These are different white blood cells, and they play a central role in the immune system. There are two main types. We talked about the T cells, but you also have the B cells. These are produced in bone marrow, and they produce antibodies, which are proteins that can recognize and neutralize specific pathogens, which is really important. We also have some lymphoid tissue that is considered our tonsils and adenoids. If you still have those were removed for me as a kid. A lot of us get those removed, but these are found in the throat and nose, and they help protect the body from infections that are entering through the respiratory and oral routes. So if you've had these removed, then you may not have that defense mechanism. So maybe you're having more respiratory infections or reactions to like allergens through seasons and things like that. We also have what's called a complement system. This is a group of proteins in the blood that interact with different antibodies, which remember are produced by those B cells. And this enhances the immune response. So B cells and the complement system work together. The complement system can also directly attack pathogens, so they can go to battle themselves, which is awesome. We also have phagocytes. If you hear cytes, that just means cells, but phagocytes are a type of white blood cell that engulf and destroy pathogens and debris. Think about them kind of like eating and breaking down different things. So, pathogens in the immune system. The main types of phagocytes are neutrophils, monocytes, and macrophages, which you may see show up in different research papers or things like that. And then we have our innate immune system, which is the body's first line of defense. It includes the physical barriers of the skin and mucous membranes. This is where the gut plays a role as well. The gut itself is part of the innate immune system. And then different cells, as well as different chemicals that can act quickly to kind of contain and eliminate pathogens, are found throughout the innate immune system. So with the gut, we are primarily focused on the innate immune system. T cells and antibodies, all of that can form. There are also different specific cells in the gut. And we're going to dig a little bit deeper into what the immune system looks like in the gut. But there are various things in the gut that play a role. But the innate immune system is a big kind of piece that we talk about a lot and we think about. When we think about the GI tract, there are different pieces of the immune system that are found specifically in the tract, and it's called the gut-associated lymphoid tissue, or GALT. This includes Peyer's patches. These are small organized lymphoid nodules that are found in the lining of the small intestine, especially in the ileum. This is the end part of the small intestine, where then it's going to go into the colon. So the last part of the small intestine, we have this. Peyer's patches do include immune cells, those B cells and T cells, and they also can detect and respond to different antigens that are present in the gut. This is where we may see some issues with food allergy in some cases, or we may see some poor regulation of the immune system where we may respond to antigens that we normally wouldn't. A lot can happen here. We also have our mesenteric lymph nodes. These are lymph nodes found in the mesentery, which is a fold of tissue that attaches the intestines to the abdominal wall. So this is not necessarily inside the gut, which we normally think about, but on the gut, kind of on the outer part of the gut. These filter lymph from the intestines and act as kind of hubs for immune cell activation and communication. So think about them kind of as like the communicators on the outside of the gut, like kind of making sure everything's going okay. We also have our gut resident immune cells. These are various immune cells, so that can be those macrophages we talked about, dendritic cells, T cells. They're scattered throughout the gut lining and primarily found in the gut. And these are going to continuously monitor what's going on inside of the gut, potential threats, antigens, different, and then they'll initiate immune responses when they need to. We also have our intestinal epithelial cells, which are inside the gut wall. So they line the intestinal wall and act as a physical barrier against pathogens. This is where we typically talk about gut permeability, right, or leaky gut. The intestinal epithelium is meant to be tight. There are tight junctions from tight junction proteins, meaning they're fitting together. And when these proteins are loosened, which can be due to infection, we see this in IBS. There's a lot of different reasons why this may happen, as well as some that we don't know and kind of some mystery there. But if the gut is more loose and more permeable, meaning more things can go in between, that is also going to impact the immune system because that's going to break down this part of the innate immune system, which is really important. So that's a big piece to think about. We also have secretory immunoglobulin A, or IgA. This is the most abundant antibody class in the body, and a significant portion of it is found inside the GI tract and produced there. It plays a crucial role in mucosal immunity. So looking at, what's going on in the mucosa, or the lining, kind of that tissue. With the IgA, it's going to neutralize different pathogens to prevent them from attaching to the intestinal lining, which is really important. Our gut microbiota, while they're not necessarily directly related to the immune system, or if you were to do some research, you probably wouldn't see them always listed as part of the immune system. We do know that different bacteria can play a role in supporting the immune system, and it's just immune regulation overall, as well as the health of the gut, especially looking at innate immunity and, again, that permeability of the gut. We also know that different pathogenic microbes can be present as part of this microbiota, and that can have a negative role when it comes to the immune system. So there's still some more we need to learn there to really identify how, like, specifically these microbes play a role, but they can. So that is another part that we may see within the gut that can make a huge difference. Another part of the gut are a specific type of immune cells called mast cells. These are different white blood cells that are an essential part of the immune system because they're found in different tissues, but they're primarily found in the GI tract. They produce the mediators of the immune reaction. So mast cells have these different granules that contain different inflammatory mediators, including histamine, heparin, cytokines, and even proteases, which break down proteins. These are released when the mast cells are activated in response to different stimuli, including injury, infection, allergens, or different immune signals. And then they produce these mediators, which are part of the inflammatory process. So they're involved in the immune system in kind of a different way, where they're not necessarily like attacking pathogens, but they're part of the immune response.
Are you listening to today's episode with the main thought being, what are the steps that I can take to get rid of my symptoms right now? While I hope that the information that we share in every episode of The Gut Show leaves you feeling more empowered and more confident in your body, it's not always going to solve your problem or give you a clear direction for your specific symptoms and your needs. The Master Method membership is an online program for the person with chronic digestive symptoms and IBS who wants step-by-step guidance to understand their body, address the drivers of IBS, reduce symptoms, and build resilience in your gut long term. This membership includes a step-by-step course and a dietitian-led community that teaches you how to holistically address each symptom and the IBS drivers, how to reduce symptoms more strategically and with confidence, and guidelines for better gut health long term so that you're not only thinking about today, but you're also improving your outcomes in the future. It is time to ditch the symptoms and get your life back. The membership is your first step. You can learn more and enroll at ibsmastermethod.com and use the code GUTSHOW, GUTSHOW, GUTSHOW for $25 off your enrollment fee. Now, let's get back to today's episode.
Now, with those with IBS, it has been shown that those with IBS, primarily post-infectious IBS, have a higher amount of mast cells in their gut. And the more mast cells you have, and the more that these are activated, the more that they will recruit more mast cells. So if you've had repeat gut infections or things like that, you might be recruiting more and more and more and more. Now, just having more mast cells may not be a problem. However, we do know that those with IBS have this kind of altered immunity. They may have these immune reactions that aren't expected. And while it's not fully autoimmune disease like what we see in IBD, like Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, some people kind of fit in this like gray area where they have immune symptoms and there seems to be a role of the immune system. So the presence of mast cells have been looked at, but also how they're breaking down. There are a class of disorders that can overlap with IBS or conditions that are called mast cell diseases. And this can include mast cell activation syndrome, which is where these mast cells break down more significantly when they shouldn't be. And so in these cases, we have to use medications that stabilize these mast cells to prevent them breaking down and producing these mediators. Now, the problem is when these mediators are released, these can do damage to the gut, which we don't want. So it can work against gut health and what you're working on there. But they can also cause symptoms, especially looking at histamine. Histamine is going to cause histamine like reactions, which you experience whenever you get like a bug or you're dealing with seasonal allergies or things like that. Increased levels of histamine can also lead to diarrhea, discomfort, like actual symptoms in the GI tract. So it's something that we want to think about. And in some cases, you may want to test this. I will say testing for mast cell activation syndrome can be very challenging because you have to be activating the mast cells to test it. And so that is something that you would work with an immunologist or an allergist on, but looking for someone who has a specialty in mast cell activation syndrome and different mast cell diseases can be a good place to start. All right, so what do you actually do now for your immune system? I wanted to give you the background of what is involved in the immune system. And I hope that I've shed some light on the value of supporting your gut, improving gut health. That is more of a long-term focus for sure. But there are some other things that you can consider that are related to gut health, but also outside of gut health specifically that can be helpful during this time of year or whenever flu season is picking up. The first one, which is the most obvious and which we know, but I want you to think about how often you're really prioritizing it, but it's increased levels of hygiene. You want to limit exposure to pathogens as much as possible to avoid activating the immune system even more and also increasing your risk. This is where we're washing our hands more frequently, especially around eating, or if we're out doing something, we're shaking hands, we're using public transportation. We either wash our hands or use hand sanitizer before touching our face, especially close to our mouth or our nose. That can be really helpful. This is where wearing a mask might be helpful in some cases, where you're limiting your exposure of what's coming in through the nose and the mouth. That would be helpful. And even like food safety can kind of fit into here as well, of like washing fruits and vegetables, cooking things down properly. All of those different things are really important. So increased levels of hygiene can make a difference. Sleep is also vital and something you definitely want to focus on for your symptoms in your gut, but also your immune system. Sleeping is going to support your immune system and other systems in the body, including your hormones that are regulating both your digestive system and impacting what's going on with the immune system. It's ideal to get about 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. But if you're feeling sick or you feel like you are fighting something off, you may need even more sleep. And the quantity does matter, but quality also matters. So improving your evening routines, all of that. But quantity is at least a place to start, and improving your sleep is a big piece of it. You also want to eat a balanced diet. There's limited research on the use of supplements for an immune system boost, but we do know that a balanced diet of all nutrients, so a variety of nutrients in the necessary macro, which are carbs, fats, proteins, and micro, your vitamins and minerals, all of these nutrients are going to help your body stay healthy and recover from an illness more effectively. So you want to eat a variety of proteins, ideally lean proteins, That's going to come from meat, fish, and even some of our plant proteins. Colorful fruits and vegetables, especially those deep, richly colored fruits and vegetables. Think about your dark greens, your purples, your reds, your deep blues. Those are going to have antioxidant effects, which are going to be supportive of the immune system. Fiber rich grains and whole grains, which are going to be helpful, as well as healthy fats like extra virgin olive oil, avocado, things like that. This is going to be helpful to support your body's needs day to day, but also if the demand for different organs or different things in your body happens because you get exposed to something or you get sick, this is going to be helpful. Some foods that can be even more supportive specifically for the immune system are things like citrus fruits that have a lot of vitamin C. Potatoes also have a good amount of vitamin C, ginger, and even garlic. And if you have IBS and garlic is a trigger, you can implement garlic infused oils or things like that and still get some of the benefit, which is helpful, or lean more into ginger teas, ginger chews, ginger spice. All of that can be helpful. You also want to reduce stress. Stress can decrease the immune system, like kind of potency, if you will. It can interfere with sleep and it can trigger your IBS symptoms. Stress has also been linked to increased levels of intestinal permeability. The exact cause of that isn't fully known. We know that there's a gut brain communication, like maybe there's something going on there, maybe there's secondary effects, but this is really important. And so reducing stress by setting boundaries with the media that you're taking in, like with social media, setting boundaries with your work where you can, exercising consistently in a way that feels good in your body, meditation and journaling, getting outside, adding in some sunshine. These are things that tend to drop off during the holiday season and also during the winter. And so making sure that you're kind of taking inventory of all the stressors coming in. If you have a lot more travel and a lot of activities and a lot of things going on, maybe stressful family environments or friend environments because of the holidays, consider where you can set boundaries in other places and also add an extra self care to kind of regulate the stress a bit more so that it doesn't have a negative impact on how you feel. Another one is to stay hydrated. Hydration is typically the answer when it comes to health. I hear this a lot, right? Drink more water, stay hydrated. This is going to be important because hydration allows your cells to function properly, which then allows the systems in your body to run smoothly, including your immune system and all these immune cells. This may mean drinking more water. This may also mean adding in electrolytes, adding in real salt to some of your foods, holding on to hydration, or decreasing things that are going to dehydrate you in excess, which can be helpful, but kind of keeping up with your hydration. Again, especially in the colder months where you're not sweating as much or you may not feel as thirsty, or when you're traveling, you're busy, you're distracted, all of that, your hydration may take the back seat. And then on the avoid side, avoiding excess alcohol and sugar, but especially the alcohol. Alcohol is a gut irritant. It's going to increase your levels of intestinal permeability and it might weaken your immune system. It's also going to impact your sleep and all of that too. And so if you're drinking excess alcohol, kind of more than like one serving per day, but really like a couple of servings a week, that is considered excess. That is going to have a negative impact. And again, during the holiday season, alcohol intake may be going up if you're going to parties or it's just part of your holiday traditions. So maybe opting for some non-alcoholic alternatives. And there's a lot of things on the market from wines to beers to even liquors and things that are non-alcoholic or just opting for water, being mindful of your intake. And if you are sick, if you want to recover faster, really limit alcohol so that your gut and your body has the best chance possible for healing, recovery, and all of that. When it comes to excess sugar, this is not as well understood as alcohol. It might be irritating to the gut, but can have an impact. And again, we don't want to think about full restriction, but just limiting your intake and instead focusing on those foods that you're going to add more of, like the fresh fruits and vegetables and all the colorful plants and fiber, all those things, healthy fats and your high quality proteins. The more you focus on those and just moderating sugar intake, that might be supportive. So I hope that this is helpful in giving you a few tips on things that you could do now. This isn't everything, again, based on your level of immunity, possible autoimmunity, your health history, your needs may look a little bit different. Work with your doctor to find a plan that will keep you the best supported. But these are at least some tools that you can use starting today, kind of throughout the holidays, a little checklist you can be thinking about to try to support yourself and protect yourself as much as possible. Your immune system is always working for you. Sometimes it takes a hit, but the more that you give it what it needs, you give your body what it needs, the more that it can recover from those hits and ideally reduce the amount of negative responses and more systemic responses to the hits that it takes throughout the season. And if you took anything away or you want to add to the conversation today, share it on social media. You can tag my account. I would love to see what you're thinking. You can also share in our Facebook community. You'll see all of that in the show notes. And if you are going into the holiday season, you're in the middle of it right now, feeling like your IBS is out of control, you really need some support beyond just immune system, you need some guidance, you need some tools, you need a community of people that are also going through the holidays with IBS and trying to figure out all the pieces of it, I encourage you to join our Master Method membership. You can find that in the show notes as well. But that will be your kind of your step-by-step guide for managing your symptoms. I will also be there in the community, ready to cheer you on, answer your questions, and give you that added support. We also have plenty of recipes there as well for you to enjoy.